What's going on, guys? I hope you all are having a fantastic day. I know that I am. And if you guys have been following the PlayStation 5 rumors, today there was a press conference and Sony said that the PlayStation 4 is entering the final stages of its life cycle. Now, besides the fact that this console generation has honestly felt super short, about a month and a half ago there was a spec leak for the PS5. Now, these specs didn't really seem that believable, and I'm going to go ahead and discuss why today, and I'm also going to list the expectations that I have for the PS5 in terms of specs. So before I get into the video, I want to say that I am going to be doing a 200 subscriber Q&A special. If you have any questions for me that you're curious about or just want me to answer, leave them in the comments below and they will get answered in my 200 subscriber Q&A special. So let's get into the video. So about 2 months ago, the PlayStation 5 specs were rumored to be leaked on a couple of different websites. These specs actually rivaled quite a bit of super high-end gaming PCs. The specs for the PS5 included an 8-core Ryzen CPU clocked at around 3 GHz. It's rumored to have 24 to 32 gigabytes of GDDR6 RAM, and this RAM is rumored to have the same configuration that the current PS4 and Xbox One have, where both the CPU and the GPU can access the RAM at once. And this makes it more efficient and also makes it so the consoles are cheaper to produce. So moving on to the GPU, it was rumored to have a 13 teraflop GPU, and it was rumored to be sporting the Vega architecture. Now, this one is where I'm really kind of skeptical of these spec leaks, because 13 teraflops is rivaling a GTX 1080 Ti, and I don't really think that that would really be feasible to put into a home console that costs around $400 when just the GPU would cost in excess of about $800. That just doesn't seem right to me, so I'm a little skeptical on that, but I will list what I think is a reasonable alternative to that in my kind of expectations for the PS5. So besides the electronic hardware, it's also rumored to have vapor chamber cooling, which this one is pretty believable, mostly because the Xbox One X was able to fit it in. The console cost under $600, which I mean makes it seem that it could definitely fit into a home console that is going for under $600. So moving on from the rumored spec leak of the PS5, I'm going to go ahead and list my expectations / what I believe is going to be inside of the PS5. So not so differently from the rumored spec, I'm going to go ahead and guess that there is a 6 to 8 core Ryzen CPU clocked somewhere between 2 to 3 gigahertz. Now, the reason I say somewhere between 2 to 3 gigahertz is because when electrical components are clocked at a higher frequency, they tend to kind of burn out faster, and they also produce more heat, and I think that these consoles are going to be a little bit smaller than the current PS4 and Xbox One, mostly because the Xbox One was a Goliath. Specifically the original Xbox One, it is huge, and that thing produced a ton of heat. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this CPU probably isn't going to be as strong as what these rumored specs are saying, mostly because, like I said, an 8-core Ryzen CPU at 3 GHz is essentially a Ryzen 7, which I don't think they would put inside of a PS5, mostly because that is incredibly expensive. Now, the RAM configuration that I would bet money on is 16 gigabytes of unified GDDR5 RAM. Now, GDDR6 is possible because GDDR6 is entering production later in the year, so GDDR6 definitely would seem feasible, but it does seem like it would be incredibly expensive to include into a home console. So I'm going to go ahead and guess that GDDR5 is probably going to be the gold standard for the next generation of consoles. So finally, moving on to the GPU, which honestly is what I had to put the most thought into. Now, the Xbox One X is rocking a 6 teraflop GPU, and I honestly don't expect much of a bigger upgrade from that, mostly because I don't think that these consoles will be native 4K machines. Now, 4K definitely does seem possible, especially with the progress made from the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro, but I'm going to go ahead and guess that this GPU is going to be an 8.6 teraflop GPU, and I'm almost positive that it would include Vega cores. Now, the configuration that I would be willing to bet money on is 3,854 cores, which is 56 compute units at about 1250 megahertz, and that would equate to 8.6 teraflops. And a couple years ago, someone at Sony said that 8 teraflops of GPU performance would be necessary to run games at a native 4K. Now, like I said, I don't think that these consoles will necessarily be native 4K machines, but I definitely do think that 1440p will start to become a standard with the next generation of consoles. So that's essentially my expectations for the PS5 in terms of hardware. Now, I'm not some analyst at all, and I don't have any insider information, so do not take what I said as complete fact. But these are just essentially what I'm guessing is going to be inside of the PS5 based on the power of the PS4 and the Xbox One. And I'm also willing to bet that both the Xbox 2, I would say, and the PS5 are going to have really similar specs and really similar hardware configurations, mostly because both of them had incredibly similar hardware this generation. And I'm also willing to bet that both these consoles will utilize an AMD APU or system on a chip. So that's pretty much my expectations for the PS5 and the Xbox 2, I would guess, even though I didn't really talk about the Xbox 2. So thank you all so much for watching. And if you did enjoy the video, don't forget to click here for more videos. And if you did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like and or subscribe if you're new around here. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.
Firing for full effect. Target zone